That's the only place where I run into that.
So within, sorry to say the pharmaceutical industry again, there's been recent change in the regulations that we cannot close any type of a corrective action plan until we have been able to provide evidence of effectiveness measures.
I don't have that requirement.
So,
Although that is what we're
anyway,
trying for.
just to share.
Well, what you're doing is an internal audit, within.
Right,
That's right.
process audit.
Whereas, say, for an ISO 9001 audit, it would be, their certification would be at stake. So evidence of effective corrective action would have to be available before the certification could be.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't close an audit until I've got my objective evidence that they've done both their immediate and their preventive. But I don't say, you've got to get me a corrective action plan and have everything completed by the time you get me the corrective action plan.
Right.
For one thing, I want to see that corrective action plan because there are people that they are not going to understand the difference between, what's a reactive corrective action and what's a corrective action that's going to preclude an occurrence. So. All right, so we'll move into some lessons learned. So, Green Line Extension Project in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Company was set up to do a geotechnical investigation doing structural design of stations along the Green Line. This is to run between, I think, extend the line from Cambridge out to Tufts University through some underserved neighborhoods and give them subway access. So 3.25, 3.4 miles. Kleinfelder received a QA program from the joint venture that was leading the program effort, and it was written to the FTA's Quality Management System Guidelines, which consists of 15 requirements. Nothing that's very removed, frankly, from the world of ISO. It's, do you have a training program? How do you make sure people are qualified? Document control, records management, audit, things like that. Our Cambridge, Massachusetts facility was the one that was performing the design functions. So lots of architects and lots of engineers cranking out their design work. So went in, did an audit, and started finding certain things. So going through calculation packages, finding that we had a procedure that said, hey, here's how you're going to make sure that your calc pack has been fully checked, and looking at the evidence, okay, they had enough calculation packages where they hadn't done the process that we said, okay, we've got a process breakdown. I mean, I usually go by the rule of 3. If it's 3 or under, and I've got a set end that I can look at, I'll go, okay, human error. But when you start to see it really stack up, that's a sign that you've got a systemic failure. Personnel training records were missing, and they didn't have a listing of quality records. For this project, you're supposed to, and frankly, for any design project, there should be a list that says, these are all the drawings and specs, etc., that we've produced. And
so much of this is familiar from other fields.
yeah,
I never realized the interrelation.
the interrelation of people not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so they sent me a corrective action plan, and I went through it, and design checks not fully documented, and they said, well, here's the evidence that we completed the design review of these calculations. And here are the training records that we're missing. Oh, and we started setting up a project records list. And they were all reactive solutions. And so, no surprise to anyone here. They had nothing in their corrective action plan to say, and here's how we're going to make sure we don't do it again on the next project. So, as I went back through it, looking at the audit, I realized that during the exit interview, myself and the other auditor, being the audit team, we had basically assumed that the project team really understood the purpose of root cause analysis and what that meant in terms of writing corrective actions. That part of writing a corrective action was, how are you going to prevent it from happening again? And we had not done that. And we were able to correct the corrective action plan with the audited body, but it took a while. And what it made clear to me is, okay, part of every exit meeting that I do from now on, I'm going to make sure that people understand exactly what it is I'm asking them to provide me in the way of corrective action, such that I now provide a go-by so that I can say, and when you write your corrective action plan, you know, and you write out corrective action, make it look like this. Follow this template. And it's, by and large, it's worked very well. They don't have to feel like they're being called to the carpet because they didn't understand something, and I'm getting far more rapidly the response that I want. So gave them the 3 steps of corrective action question. What was the finding or the issue that I identified? What's your immediate action that you're going to take to mitigate right now, which was locate the records, complete the design reviews of the pieces that didn't have the design reviews done, and then let me know how you're going to improve recurrence. And that's what we're talking about. But I had just assumed that these people understood how to write a corrective action, so it was on me. All right, the second audit. This one was in our Las Vegas area, where they were performing construction special inspections for their IAS, which is the accreditation body IAS, to the AC 291 standard, which is for businesses that are involved in doing special inspection and construction projects. And basically, I got a call from the regional manager saying, hey, we're up for our annual recertification audit, and we have not addressed the deficiencies from the past 2 audits, so for the past 2 years. And we really need to successfully recertify this next annual audit. So can you come out now and audit and help us fix these things? So this was a case where I was going to wear both hats simultaneous to do the audit and help them figure out what to do. So what I did figure out was, the first step was I looked at their quality manual and realized that they were using their quality manual that was written to the ASHTO R18 standard for doing laboratory testing of materials. But this certification is for doing construction inspection to the IAS AC 291 standard. So that was the big first tip off, which was your quality manual does not address the requirements that it needs to address. And they said, well, you know, IAS brings that up every year, but they've gone along with it. So and I said, okay, I don't think we want to keep pushing our luck on that, so we're going to need to rewrite the manual. They were providing concrete construction, masonry, all these different types of special inspection. For anyone that's unfamiliar, AC 291 is sort of an offshoot of ISO 17020, which is for special inspection of essentially any type of industry. Both the City of Las Vegas and the City of New York require that anyone that's doing special inspection, that their business be certified to the AC 291 criteria. So if you're in any of those 2 localities, it's on your radar, but I don't think anywhere else yet. So I found I had 18, when I did my audit, I looked at both their processes and their manual. And as I said, the manual, of course, because it was written to the wrong standard, had a lot of issues. I found 31 opportunities for improvement in the manual, such as, you know, let's make sure we reference the correct quality standard. There was no address in the quality manual about how they were going to subcontract their calibrations. In the AC 291 criteria, you're only supposed to give calibration business to a calibrator that either has an IAS accreditation or is in an ILAC agreement with IAS. Basically, they want to make sure you got an ISO 17025 certified calibration body, but they didn't address that in the manual, nor did they address how they uniquely identified their measuring test equipment, which would be used either during special inspection or for verification of special inspection activities.
Is that different from a normal manufacturing tool calibration contractor? There are national standards that they have to calibrate to.
Well, that's the standards for the actual, my torque wrench is traceable back to this tool used to calibrate it back to this
Right,
standard.
yeah.
So that still applies. You have to trace it to a national or international standard.
Right.
But what we're talking here in the IS standard is it's just a quality system. It's just saying, okay, you're going to have these requirements for how you qualify your special inspectors. You have these requirements to follow for how you're going to make sure your calibration agency has quality. So if when I go and audit a calibration supplier, they've got to have a treatment program. They've got to have a way to handle customer complaints or non-conformances of work and how they also in turn procure their
Probably most
calibrations.
standard labs, the large ones, have that certification anyway, but nobody manufacturing the extra large.
A lot of manufacturers don't, and I think for quite a while there's been provision that the original equipment manufacturer, they would say either has to be ISO certified or the OEM, but that is changing. I think new gauges is an area where we've seen it. CPN, which is now owned by Instrotech, they carry an ISO 17125 cert. I think Troxel also has ISO cert, so we're seeing many new manufacturers of some.